Hey guys, this is Trevor from Patrick Adair Supplies, and today we're going to be going over the Vhagar ring. Alright, so in this box we're including our double channel hammered tungsten. We have the empty vial, our red glow powder, our dragon scale obsidian opal, our obsidian, our gunmetal pigment, and the freebie is these tweezers with the scoop on the end. Alright, so before I start on this ring, I'm just going to be prepping some of our materials. I'm just crushing up both of our materials together. I was shooting for about a 50-50 mix, so they both get showed off equally. I will say that when you are crushing these materials or working with the obsidian in general, do be careful. They call it dragon glass for a reason. It will cut you super easy. It is not uncommon to get little obsidian splinters after doing this. Next, I'm just mixing up our pigment with the glow powder. Our red glow is, I believe, our second dimmest glow, so you might want to just experiment to see what ratio you like to get the glow you prefer. More pigment probably means a little less glow, and vice versa. Alright, so to start off our inlay, I'm doing a small layer of our thick CA just to coat that bottom of the channel. And then I'm pouring that pure red glow over the top of it. The reason I'm doing just that pure glow as the base is so that when we put our mixture on top of it, that glow will really shine strong through that translucent obsidian. That way it doesn't get obstructed by the pigment, and the grayish color of the obsidian will darken that pigment anyway. Once I put that pigment on, I'm just doing a small layer of the thin CA to just barely wet down that pigment to hold it in place. And then I'm also just fixing a little patch that I missed when I was putting it on. After that is all cured, I am doing one channel at a time. I'm just doing another small layer of that thick CA and then pouring our mixture on. After I pour on that initial mixture, I'm just pouring our now pigment and glow mixture on top of that to cover up any gaps. It'll stick to any of that thick CA that was in between any of the materials, and I'm doing this so that we can hide that pure white color. This will darken it up a little bit, but then you'll still get that really bright shine through the obsidian. After I put that pigment mixture on top, I'm just going through little section by section and adding more of our materials on top just to really pack it into the channel. I'm trying to get it as tight as possible. And then once I've got that all inlaid, I'm just going to be repeating that process on our other channel. I do prefer to work kind of channel by channel in these double channel inlays. You can do both at once if you'd like. I like to do one at a time just so that I don't feel rushed with the glue curing, and I can focus more on just that one section, just in case I miss any small details. After that side is inlaid, then I'm just going to do a couple layers of the super thin to build up any low spots or any gaps, just to completely fill that channel up. And then once that is cured, I'm going to take our rotary tool using an 80 grit sanding drum and sand that all flush. Once it is sanded down flush, I'm going to do just a quick wet sand with our 220 grit, and I'm going to be inspecting both of those channels for any harsh lines that may have been left by that 80 grit drum, or any holes that may have appeared that we didn't fully get closed up with that super thin. And once I've inspected it and fixed everything that I needed to, I'm just going to do another couple layers of super thin to seal everything back up. And then once that is cured, I'm going to go back with that 220 grit wet sand, and this time after I wet sand, I'm going to be taking a razor blade and trying to clean off those small sections of that hammered tungsten. This part is a bit tedious, but it is very easy for the super thin or just the glue in general to get caught in those little divots. If you are uncomfortable using a razor blade or are afraid that you might cut yourself, you can get some cut-proof gloves. They're pretty cheap and they will save you any accidental slices. I will say that my Band-Aid was not from a razor blade. It was just from a prior incident. To try and minimize how much time you spend working on those little hammered sections, you can wet sand a little bit extra with that 220 just to try and sand off any of those extra sections. But with these little divots being quite small, you'll more than likely need to go back in and clean those off. I like to do it after the 220, just so that if there is any small missing sections, usually the 500 grit and 1000 grit that I follow with after will clean it up. You can see in this video I did have to go back a few times and clean up those sections. It can just be a little bit difficult spotting those. You got to have the right light and try not to mess up the inlay. But your hard work will pay off in the end. If you do find any holes, like I did, I believe I found one, you can just do a small little drop of that super thin to try and avoid covering those divots up again. Worst case, you just have to go in and clean those up again, but most of the time just a little dab of that super thin will seal in that hole and you can just worry about that section. If the ring is mostly finished and you have that small hole, you can usually just use 1000 grit to sand that down clean, since it's just focusing on that one tiny dot. So after we get all of those sections all cleaned up, I go through with that 220, 500, and 1000. And after that 1000 grit, I like to use our step 1 polishing paste just to really give it that nice shine. And then you'll have a really nice ring to look at. And then after you finish up with that polishing paste, your ring will really shine. I think it cleans up super nice. I'm really happy with how the finished product looks on this. I also will be showing another variant of this ring that we did, where instead of mixing the two materials together in each channel, I am doing one section with the opal and then one section with the obsidian. Feel free to experiment however you would like. Whatever you think looks the best is the right option. And we hope that you have a fun time making these. We'll see you in the next video.